Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, folks, how you doing? How are you doing? I hope you are doing well like I am. And as usual, I have my, I don't have tea this time, but I have a nice large container of water, so I'm ready to have a great conversation, especially on Father's Day. And I want to wish all you fathers out there who are listening, no matter where you are. I know we've got listeners in Africa, in Italy, in Japan, and more importantly in Harlem, and we want to wish you a happy Father's Day. And as we know, it's not just June 18th that makes it Father's Day, but every day is a Father's Day, and for all you fathers out there. And of course, you're listening to me, Danny Tisdale, who's not a father, and you're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show on Harlem World Radio. And to get started, we just want to talk a little bit about where you can get our content, and of course, it's on twitter.com /HWMag, also on Facebook, of course, at facebook.com /HWMag, and of course on harlemworldmag.com. And here's a couple of Father's Day insights happening on our website. And the funny thing is that yesterday it was cold in the teens last night in Harlem, and today it's in the 20s, so a little bit warmer, but may not be able to feel it. But also, as I said, don't forget, no matter what the weather's like, to go to our website, harlemworldmag.com, and check out what's trending. And on Father's Day, what's better to have Father's Day articles trend, one like Michael Jackson and talking about his new show on Fuse TV. They're doing a whole special on Michael. Michael was a father. It's not a Father's Day show they're doing, but it's a Father's Day special piece on him on Fuse TV. Also, Daddy Duke Ellington, special with vocalist Kay Davis, and also Dad and baseball player Henry Kimbrough, who played for one of Harlem's early Negro Baseball League teams. He was a baseball star back in the day, and it's a trending story that I did with his daughter, Harriet Kimbrough. It talks about his history and all the things that he has done. And there's more stories, and look for them. But today we're going to talk to fathers about Father's Day and the work that they are doing and the challenges, the ups and downs in those challenges. And we have, of course, our co-host today, Felix Campos. And Felix, welcome to the show.
Well,
how you doing,
man?
Thank
you for the invitation. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm alive. I'm healthy. Trying to get around to as many Father Day weekend events as I possibly can, because I'm either partly responsible for them or I just advocate for them and support. Plus, the food is always good, man. So it doesn't hurt.
Well, and that never, ever hurts. And I think we have another father on the show, and if I'm right, it's that Mr. Welsh, Edmond Welsh?
Yep, I'm here.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing okay. I'm okay. I'm actually in between meetings. Hello?
Yeah,
I know you're busy. I had just been speaking
to in a father's rights meeting. I just stepped out to catch up with you guys since there was a conflicting, and I want to appear for both events.
Well, certainly so. And, Edmond, we'll start with you since I know you're kind of doing double duties. I can't believe they have you working like this, guys, on Father's Day. Of course, talking to me is not work. but I know all the other
It's
things
great.
you're doing.
Yeah.
So Edmond, since I know your schedule's a little tough, describe yourself in a few words in the age of your son or daughter.
Well, for me, I'm the average guy. I'm like every other man out here who looks forward to being a father, who looks forward to raising kids and having a son that looked like me and a daughter that might marry a guy like me. I'm just
great.
that guy. But now I'm an advocate. Like you said, I'm doing multiple jobs. Like I'm talking to you guys. I'm attending the fathers meeting, and I'm currently doing my visitation. I got 4 hours with my son, and he's in my presence with me now.
Hold on, Edmond. Let me stop you right there because we just want to get some intros real quick, and then we're going to go right back into these meat and potatoes. And Felix, talk to us, as Edmond did, a few words about how you describe yourself and your son or daughter, or sons or daughters.
Well,
their age.
I'm a former New York City public school teacher and an independent producer. My children are all adults, and as a matter of fact, on some occasions, I've been made a grandfather several times over.
Congrats.
My kids' age, there's 5 of them, 3 boys, 2 girls. I actually am a father figure. At least I hope that the boys look upon me as being a father figure to the boys, because they were my first attraction. Just walking the streets, like Edmond said, just being a normal guy. You go through your routine, and all of a sudden, some kid looks at you and says, "Wow, what's that?" And you say it's a motorcycle helmet, because Edmond is a cyclist. He's a rider, and for me it was sports. I happen to have my football gear with me, and is that a real football shoe? And hey, can I, and those kinds of things. Can I wear your jersey? And so that develops the relationship with the boys, and I'm happy to say that now as adults, full adults, I still have that the kindling of that relationship again with the guys.
No, and it sounds like it, and I can hear, quite frankly, in both of your voices. And I especially love this conversation because like you, Felix, I teach. And, I've started teaching at a younger level. Usually it was in college and high school, and here I am at middle school, and I can't believe that I'm loving it. But I do like to joke around and say that I love middle school because it helps me appreciate the kids, but it also kind of confirms that I'm kind of glad I didn't have kids. That's my running joke.
Not that many.
So
not that many.
I hear you, and certainly so. But I wanted to ask you guys this question because, as I said, not being a father myself, is it possible in our little time that we have together and I'm only asking you to do a couple of minutes each, of how do you describe what it's like to be a father?
Edmond, you go first, man.
I mean, God damn, shit. Sorry, my
I know, and I'm giving you a couple of minutes. I know it's not fair. I know it's not fair.
Of a guy. You know what I mean? I'm that average.
I just threw him under the bus.
Regular kind of guy. But hey, being a father, man, it's like it's the words aren't sufficient. I mean, and I'm not living the fatherhood dream that I wanted to, but I just looked in on my son a couple seconds ago, and to see him sitting there is too joyous to speak. I'm too happy. I feel like I'm too undeserving when I look at my kids. I didn't plan to create such goodness, such what I consider perfection, and. All
right, but don't make me cry, man. Come on. Kind of keep it.
Yeah, really. Don't tell nobody this is really me speaking. People might not understand, They
Who's that?
Point their fingers like, was that you? But, people don't look at me and see that. They don't see how happy and how joyous I am over my kids. Even though being caught up in this whole, nonsense, still love my kids more than anything. I still love the fact that they're here. Absolutely,
and it's funny because I just can't imagine, but I hear you when you say you can't put it into words. I can't imagine it, but I hear, that, challenge in your voice of, how do you explain something that's, come from you, that you've produced with, this other person, it's amazing.
You don't look forward to it, and that's where the ability to adapt is really important because, when you're 16, I mean, I don't know about other men, but when I found out how to make kids and what I would be able to do, I was like, oh, wow, I can't wait. You know what I mean?
The whole
I had
process.
my daughter first, and I realized, but okay, it's not the fun and games. And I waited 20 years to have another child. So, I love my son just as equally. I enjoyed the making of him just as much as, I did with my daughter. Just that now I have to fight to see this child where I didn't with my first. So adapting to the current circumstances and the current lifestyle, which is really just because of the outside factors, didn't change the fact that, I made a child. I look forward to it, and I'm happy I did it. And regardless of how I'm allowed to take care of this child, live by that, vow I made to take care of them.
Right. Right. And we're going to get into, I'll just say the other side of it. But, Felix, I wanted you, of course, to, describe what it's like being a dad.
Well, I as a school teacher, whether in New York or anywhere else, you're a man, particularly if we're talking about men of color, and you're already placed on not so much a pedestal, but you're kind of pinned to the board, and you have a bullseye on you because you're supposed to be a model of manhood, a model of a man of color, and all those kinds of things, and so boys gravitate to that. When I became a father of two girls, things are a little different. The relationship is obviously much different, but it's different as the girls grow older because they become more conscious of themselves and their likes and the dislikes, their preferences. But when they're young, there's no difference in the genders. You love them both the same. You do for one what you do for the other, whether they're boys or girls. I played. I bought baseball mittens for my girls. I've taken the girls to the football games just the way I've taken the boys to the theater. And as it turned out, my girls did become athletic. They both ran track and field in high school. My older daughter went to college, got a scholarship to play varsity ball, and then was later drafted to a professional league in Puerto Rico, and she played a couple years there. So it's the continuation of a dream that there's no way to describe the journey, man. You just go for the ride and you enjoy it. But by like what Edmond was talking about, situations, things arise because you're a man and because, and I'm going to say this to the audience, but because as men we don't physically bear children, that's the focal point of all the gender prejudices and the injustice that are committed by the law on men. And so it hurts when you're separated from your children. It even hurts more when you're told that your children don't like you, that they don't know you, that they're afraid of you, and you ask yourself, and then chime in on this, and you ask yourself, where did all this come from?
Right. Well, and I'm as I said, after the break, we're going to talk more about the other side of it. But I wanted to ask you a question that I didn't prepare either of you for, because I was just thinking of, you mentioned obviously being men and I'm always asking questions about finding a balance. I think I'm going to ask the question now, and then take a break, and then right after the 30-second, 40-second break, ask you the question again. But my question is, how do you find the balance between, being the tough dad who shows your son or daughter that, you do have to be tough and be firm, and then the other side of that is show your love and give love, because I find myself with my class, trying to find a balance, between this is what you don't do and this is what you do. So, guys, think about that, and I'll be back in maybe 30, 40 seconds because I'm going to do a quick station ID and let our listeners know they're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show. Of course, I'm Danny Tisdale. More importantly, I've got great guests with Mr. Edmond Welsh and Felix Campos, who are fathers, and we're doing this special today to talk about Father's Day and fathers. Check us out at harlemworldmag.com, also on Facebook at facebook.com/HWMag. And, of course, Twitter, at twitter.com/HWMag. And don't forget to check out our fast-growing history page, which is also on Facebook. Just put Harlem History on Facebook, and you'll find it. And we were talking to Mr. Welsh and Mr. Campos about the question of finding a balance in being a dad. And, Edmond, since you've been going first, I wanted to start off with you.
Well, how do you create the balance is I think that's one of those, and I'm not knocking you for it, but I think it's one of those questions that are unfair because before we had all these rules of man, we had to live by the rules of nature. And, the tough guy, the tough man is still the man that had to go and hunt and skin animals and fight wars against invaders.
Knock a bear over the head.
Right. But then no matter what you do when you leave home, when you come back home to your kids, we all lay them down the same way. We warm their milk up the same way. So the balance of trying to be the tough guy to your kids is really something that I don't think we're supposed to really, kind of focus on and have an answer to because I'm a different type of guy outside of my home than any other man, but we are all different type of guys outside the home than we are in the home. But we become more of the same type of men when we're looking at our kids. When we have to deal with a scrape or a boo-boo, or if they want us to reach, for the cookies, or we all do that the same exact way.
That's right. Or if you have daughters and it's your turn to sit down and your daughter raise your hair. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, how are you gonna always be the nice guy? Trying to distinguish the two, and you can't be the tough man as you are outside. When if your child sees you outside of the home and you have to defend yourself, they'll see a quite angry and probably dangerous man if you're defending them. So there's never really a time when they're not supposed to see who you are or who you can be.
Gotcha.
It's just always the right time that they can experience it, and at no time is it supposed to be detrimental or harmful to them.
Exactly.
So if I put it in my own words, I hear you. What I hear you saying is kind of it's just automatic. You just who you are when you are in that situation.
Yes, we can't.
Whatever that situation is.
We can't compare with each other. We can't live by the words of man. Like I said, I don't think there's no father, who will just, as a matter of course or common sense or actual will, harm their child. And I speak to many men that we disagree on a lot of things, but like I said, we feed our children the same way. We blow on their hot liquids the same exact way. We put that Band-Aid on the same way. We dry their tears the same way. There's no distinction or difference when it comes to that. Right.
So let me. I just want to push forward because we're already, believe it or not, at the I think we've at the 10-minute mark already, and I want to push forward with the other side of being a dad and flip the script a little bit. And Felix, start with you. What are some of the challenges of being a father?
Well, one of the challenges of being a father is the choice to be a father. I think it's something that's desired by a lot of men, just as motherhood is desired by a lot of women. It's a question of timing, when you're ready for the responsibilities. And one of the challenges is that men don't have the same choices that do women. And it has nothing to do with the man's capacity or willingness to be a nurturer and a caregiver. That has nothing to do with the instinct of being a parent. It just all has to do with gender role, and that prejudices men. On top of that, then all the laws are going to reflect that prejudice against men.
That prejudice.
And this is where a lot of men, myself, Edmond, included, fall victims to. The laws then are not as equitable as they should be. Men fall on the short side of the stick, and then we're mistreated and misportrayed as not being caring or nurturing males, but as aggressive, belligerent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, but when you remove that prejudice from the issue, and you just observe father and child, then you see that man that Edmond was talking about, that we all blow on the hot liquid the same way. I joked a little earlier about having daughters and not just only doing their hair, but having to sit on the floor and let them do my hair. And then be man enough to walk out in the street so that people can see you with those bows and things like that, and you not care. You understand? And so where Edmond and I meet, and what we also have in common is that those prejudices have to be done away with, and with them the laws, and with them the policies and the practices that the family court system and the other parties around it, the Children's Law Center, the Child Support Collection Enforcement Unit, etc., play a part, and they have to be wiped clean, and understanding what their role is, recreate them so that they can, without any prejudice or incompetence, do their job. And I did it through video in particular, and Edmond went out and started a group called Disgusted Dads, and I'll let Edmond talk about that.
Please.
Disgusted Dads is exactly what it is. It's disgusted. It was one of those names when people. I got it from my culture. From my family is born and raised in Guyana. I'm the first American. And so it was a term that I always heard my family speak when it came to things that would just frustrate. Like, it's too damn
disgusted.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you do disgusting. Oh, that's just
right to the point.
Disgusting. And when I was trying to think of a term, and I realized that every, if you're mad, if you're angry, if you're frustrated, those are terms that are used against men. I was concerned about what the courts would think about my group just in the name. So, I had to, eliminate all of the names that I've actually been hit with in court. And I decided on Disgusted Dads. I didn't know the big pond that I was putting my foot into. I more or less was venting my own experience, and then before I knew it, 32,000 people agreed with me, and there's millions across, that I'm connecting and networking that have the same problem.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, like I said, the first thing was the disgust, because there's no real detailed plan that you can give to fathers for us to all follow. We cannot, march to the same tune. We father different. We come from different cultures, different experiences, but we all want to take care of our kids, and the court doesn't allow that. And when you asked me earlier, it was hard to describe what a father does because of all of our differences. It's only the court that puts us into a box, and usually by charging us with something or, just trying to belittle us. So that's the only, community that we end up falling into. But
right.
the court can't tell an individual father how to be a dad. You know,
right.
they can't tell that between us dads. What kind of rule is that? You can only convict us and persecute us under the same rule, but you can't help us under the same rule.
So, guys, we have 5 minutes left, and the last question. There's two questions that I wanted to ask you in this time, and I'm going to let you guys select how you want to answer them. So my first question is, what advice would you give other dads who are listening to you and who feel they're going through the same thing? And is there one or two tips you would give them? And secondly, I think you both mentioned organizations or support networks where guys listening, dads, fathers listening could reach out to. So I'm going to ask you both to answer those two questions in these last 5 minutes, which gives each one of you about 2 minutes each. So, Edmond, if you want to go first, since Felix went first the last time.
Okay. I asked you the question. I had to look in on my son. What was the question again?
Well, what tips would you give fathers going through the challenges you're going through right now, and any links to websites or organizations where they could take the next further step to, find out what you're doing, some of the organizations you're working with, and vice versa?
The first tip I would tell fathers is to slow it down a little bit. That's the first tip I'll tell them. Because they get involved, and then their feelings kind of get caught up, the frustrations, the anger.
Oh, I see.
And I think they move more on that. And then they kind of fall back into the average, male attitude where, it's to hell with it, or, they do something that ends up hurting themselves. So I tell fathers to slow down and then gauge your surroundings, gauge the territory that you're in. Stay on top of procedure, stay on top of paperwork, because that's really what helps you. Because the family courts, or let's say the process, involving courts, stakeholders, the third-party providers, their agenda is to confuse you and frustrate you enough for you to give up. And not just walk away from your kid, but not answer any letters, go to any appointments, you kind of forget that, and those things are still active even though you're not present.
Right. Edmond, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to give Felix enough time. Is there an organization or your organization that you're working with that you created where folks can reach back to you or the organization?
Yes, they can reach me at disgusteddads.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And even though we're quite a startup, what I've been doing is trying to incorporate all of the other organizations across the United States, Europe, Australia, Italy. I'm trying to incorporate them into at least be visible on my page, because that's one of the things I've found out in this business is that, information for fathers are kind of far in between and, what's that word? Kind of sporadic.
Sporadic. So, Edmond, I hate to cut you off, man, but I want to include some final words for Felix and his advice and links to the work he's doing. Sorry about that. I'm sorry, Felix.
Okay. Well, Edmond is correct. In regards to networking, disgusteddads.com. Look them up on Facebook. There's also a parental alienation movement page on Facebook. The Real Dads Network is also another support group. Of course, the family court system, the mayor's office has their own fatherhood initiatives, and you're welcome, to try them out. Not that I don't think Edmond and I think that they're going to actually favor on your side. They'll give you the okie doke. But certainly independent of the government's efforts, Disgusted Dads, the Real Dads Network, Parents Against Parental Alienation, and there are others. There's fathers and families of New York, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Fantastic.
What was that, Edmond?
I was New Jersey with kids. MJ for parental equality.
Guys, we're down to the last 5 minutes. 5 seconds. Thank you for being on the show. Send me that information, and we'll post it with this. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having us, man.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. And you've listened to the Danny Tisdale Show, and a very special program with fathers Edmond Welsh and Felix Campos. Talk to you soon. Look for us. Bye-bye.
Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for Pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Meet Davis.
Hi.
Davis is from Pollock, South Dakota.
Yep.
We took Davis from Pollock to fish for Pollock in Alaska.
Sure did.
The same wild-caught pollock in a McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
Uh-huh.
There were boats, nets, waves.
And fish.
And some delicious Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. So you could say Davis is one lucky guy.
Good one.
Thanks, Davis.
Catch some pollock of your own with McDonald's Filet-O-Fish Fridays. Just $1.99 for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.